I know that the first response is always to complain, or we feel disappointed, we feel let down. We spent our money, we didn't get what we expected, and we feel like it would have been so easy for them to just cater to us, and yet they didn't, and they should be blamed for that, and they should be held accountable for that. So I completely understand why that's the first reaction, and I had those reactions too. But I realized very quickly that that kind of reaction wasn't going to get me a better meal. And when we're in the business of wanting to make a vegan world, or at least for my part, is starting with making a vegan-friendly world, we have to do what's effective. Okay, we have to focus on the most effective strategies. We can't just do what our first reaction is. And mindfulness training, honestly, is what helped me the most in learning how to be mindful to respond to situations rather than react. And that's part of what I teach in my programs today, is that social work mindfulness training, and really being focused on responding rather than reacting. So more practically, if you are going to go eat at a restaurant, and you wouldn't believe how many people tell me they're vegan and they haven't eaten at a mainstream restaurant in years, and so they go on vacation and this is their first experience in a long time eating at a place that doesn't have solid vegan options, so they just wouldn't know what to do. So I recommend calling the restaurant in advance. If you have that opportunity, make a reservation, call a day or two before you're going to show up, and ask to speak with the chef. Now, if the chef is not available, don't give up. Just say, I'm going to leave my number. Please have the chef call me back today. If they don't call you back, call them back. The chef has to talk to you. You're going to get very little done if you're not speaking to the person that's actually cooking your meal. Because if there's a restaurant that doesn't have vegan options on the menu, they probably don't have vegan food in the back, in their kitchen. So they're only going to be able to work with what they have, but the chef has that power to be able to go out to a supermarket that day and buy something special for you if they know you're coming in advance. So I did this many times. I would call the chef, I would speak to the chef, I would be very friendly, and I would ask directly, what are you going to serve me? Oh, don't worry, I'll make something. I have vegetables, I'll figure it out. We are good at serving vegans. And I would say, no, really, I'd love to hear what you're planning, because just like any other customer, I'd like to know what to expect. I can't order off of a menu like a traditional customer, but I would still love to hear what you're planning. So then they would say, well, we have a grill, we're gonna grill some vegetables. We have a chimichurri sauce we'll put on top. So then you can stop there, and you know you're gonna be disappointed, or you can speak up for yourself, which I recommend. So I would say, could you go to the supermarket and buy tofu and put that on the grill too? And they would say, oh, I guess so. I have to go to the supermarket. Yeah, well, I'd like to be full because I need some protein. What proteins do you have? So having that kind of a conversation with the chef does a couple of things. Number one, it builds your relationship with that chef, so that is the beginning of your journey with that chef. Think of it as the beginning of your activism journey with that person. So it's not the end. You're showing them a positive experience with a vegan customer, someone who's not complaining but is challenging them to be creative and make sure you're satisfied, because you want to give them a good review. You want to have a good experience. And chefs that want to serve their customers, most of them do. Most service staff and chefs want to make their customers happy. They will respond well to that. If they don't respond well, it's probably not a restaurant you want to go to. So just hang up the phone and try another restaurant. So what will happen then is you show up at that restaurant and you enjoy your meal, and then continue that relationship. So ask to speak to the chef after you eat. The chef will come out. You can ask to take a picture with that chef. Okay, so you can post that picture on social media, and you can type, hey, this was so great. I had my first vegan meal at this place that doesn't have any vegan options in their menu. Comment below if you want to see more vegan options at this restaurant. Then you get all your friends to comment, hey, we'd love to eat here if you put this food on your permanent menu. More people go back to this restaurant requesting the dish you had because they saw that it was possible to eat it there. So that's just one of the many strategies that I had used in the beginning. And it was really about relationship building. And again, that's something I learned in my social work training. Relationship building and being positive and encouraging and expecting the best from people, giving people the benefit of the doubt. If a chef or a server comes over and says, how was your meal? And it wasn't good, don't lie, be honest, because the second we lie, we set them up to think, oh, well, I did enough, that's fine. And so many people they don't want to have any confrontation. So they'll say, sure, those grilled vegetables were great, thank you so much, and never return. So we need to show restaurants that there's a demand for vegan food, meaning we have to have honest conversations with them. So what I teach in my program now, I teach vegans how to do what I did all over the world, and I'm sure we'll talk about that later, but what I teach is how to have these honest conversations with chefs. So if someone asks you, how was your food, and you didn't like it, you can say, well, to be honest, I was expecting, and then tell them what you were expecting. So they understand what the vegan customer would have liked to see. Or to be honest, I don't feel full. I loved the tofu. You seasoned it amazingly, but it wasn't a big enough portion. And when you're vegan, you have to eat larger portions because it's plant-based. So use that opportunity to educate rather than complain. And yes, of course, it sucks to have to pay for something that wasn't amazing, but if we want to be activists, we have to put ourselves out of our comfort zone sometimes and allow ourselves to be uncomfortable for the greater good.